I've taken my patrol on a few trips now, and something that I never got round to doing is a 12 volt setup in the back. I don't want the back to be over the top, I want it to be simple and clean with enough room for the dog.
Fuck yes!
To help with that, in the last episode I converted a set of old drawers from Marketplace to this and added a box on the side for a 200 amp battery. Today I'm coming in to finish the wiring and get the 12 volt system finished with a fridge, air compressor, monitors and an inverter. After that, I've got a few more touring mods to install to make the back of this full drive the ultimate touring wagon. Proudly supported by Superior Engineering, iTechworld, and in part by... I need to run quite a thick cable from the start battery all the way back into the back of this car so we can get the battery charging this battery. We've got this huge red cable ready to run from the front to the back. Gonna have to get under the car, very sore. So I'm gonna start by removing all my panels. Nothing is screwed in yet because I knew that I had to do this today. And we don't have much room to get to the accessory panel and also to the battery, so I might even have to remove the drawers for hopefully the last time. I think it'll just make it a lot easier to get in there and get everything done that needs to be done. Now lift this out with a broken rib. Gonna be fun. And that leaves us with our battery and our fascia panel. Now, this is actually going to change around a little bit. I have some more stuff that needs to go on it, so we're probably going to have to move some of that stuff around. First thing I want to do is run the cable from the front of the car all the way to the back because we need that cable to charge this battery. Now I'm going to take this wire and feed it down there. Now I've ran the two wires, one's a positive and one's a negative, down through that grommet hole, and it's actually working out quite well. Now underneath the car you can see the wires are coming through here. Now I found a threaded hole on the chassis right here, so I've ground that back and put a bolt in it, so that is our earth. And then the positive wire runs all the way around down under the chassis and goes up into the engine bay and ends up right where we need it to be. Now I've come pre-prepared because this MIDI fuse holder box has a mega fuse which I'm going to use, and then that'll come to there, and then we got obviously straight across to the battery. I need to get this battery out of here because this one is absolutely toast. I actually tried to charge this one up too and it started smoking on me, so I'm pretty certain this thing is completely clapped. Right, I fixed the boost leak, new battery in, get this all connected up, and then I can go and check the ignition. Right, so the new battery is all connected. I've just got the terminals sitting on there loosely because obviously we're doing some wiring. So all this mess is the start of the wiring. Got our gang panel that needs to be mounted on the fascia board there. Our lighting system, which you guys will see a bit later. We've got relay for the air compressor and our big, look how thick these wires are for the inverter. They're crazy. I already made this in the last episode. It's got like a fuse distribution block and all that sort of jazz on it. So I'm going to be using that. I'm going to be trying to run the wires as neat as possible. Make sure everything's fused because that's very important. Once I've got the bulk of the wiring done, I then need to mount all the lights, which I'm using a steady rock light kit. Let's see if I can get one of these rock light kit things. I've got 6 lights to mount. Might not use all of them, but yeah, once we do all that, we can start mounting all the accessories that need to go in the car, and then we can probably put the drawers back in for the last time. Right, something that needs to happen, so I'm going to do it now, is this switchboard needs to get mounted onto this panel. Now you'll notice that there's already a hole in this board, and that is from this inverter controller, which was actually the wrong one. I do have 2 inverters. One is for Mr. Burgundy, but I've got the right one now, and it actually doesn't fit in that hole. So I think I'll move that up, and I will then just consume that hole and mount this switch panel in place so we don't have a big hole in there. Right, you guys know the drill. So you can see what we've got now. It's a full fascia board, don't break. Now there is some things I need to mount down the bottom as well. I'm going to be putting this bulkhead air fitting in right about there somewhere because I want to be able to get air from the back of the car. I don't want to be pulling the air compressor in and out. I want to be able to press one of these, compressor starts up, then you plug your air hose into this, then you can run the compressor out. So I'm going to get this mounted. That's the air line done, so time to start screwing everything in, get it permanently mounted to this board. Right, that's the fascia panel basically not done, but screwed off. It's going to sit somewhere like that. So that looks good. We'll keep moving on with the wiring for now. This morning I actually had to go to the shop because I didn't have any MIDI fuse holders or some mega fuses. So I went and got that. I got a few cables. Now I'm going to try and quickly explain what's going on here, but you can see I've just about got everything wired up except for a few things. I've obviously got heaps of cable coming out of this area. The 2 cables we ran earlier coming out the floor. This one here is our main supply of power to over here. So if you think about this like water, I've got power coming down and up into a MIDI fuse holder, which is like that inside. The power comes in, up, around, and into our distribution block. And then all these power up all our switches and our charging ports and whatnot. Also wired in a large 60 amp relay for the air compressor, and then the wire runs back there, and that'll go to an Anderson plug so I can take the air compressor out. I got solar input ready for the charger as well. Face here, I've changed the bottom one to a black one just so I know that is solar input. The top one is wired up just to a normal Anderson plug so I can run an accessory off that. First switch here is going to be the air compressor on, so that'll activate the relay there. And then the second switch is going to be our lighting setup. And then the third switch and the fourth switch are just freebies at the moment. Did have to run to the shop as well to get this cable here to finish up our earth, because this shunt right here reads onto this screen here and tells us our battery health. That's actually how it knows what's going on to the battery. It is a bit of a mess, but I'm quite happy with how neat that is in terms of wiring. It can get a lot worse than that. So the last cable that needs to be put in is this one here, and you can see this is very long. I'm actually going to quickly shorten this so I don't have to hide all this cable. Go fit this up, then I'll get the vacuum out the back. Then it's time for the drawers. Before these drawers go back in, I'm going to have to punch a hole through for the cables to run through the back of it. So I'm just going to guess somewhere about there. So now that that top is back in, I can go ahead and pull all the cable through that little hole that needs to come out. So we are mounting a charger, and then we've got our inverter going roughly about here. Got the bulk of the cables just sitting here, and then these back ones all pulled through that little hole. So the next step is to get our things mounted up that need to get mounted up on this wall, which is the battery charger and the inverter. I have to get these guys mounted in first so I know the lengths of which to cut the cable. Then we can put the air compressor and all that sort of stuff in after. I've started wiring on the charger. I've got the output cables ready to go, so they go to the battery. Now I've only got red cable because I'm too tight to go and buy black stuff, but I am labeling them with the earth here. I'm putting heat shrink just so I know which one's which, so white is positive because I don't have any red at the moment. So now I've got to get that over to the corner there and then put all those wires into here, then get these hooked up to the battery, and that is the charger done. So I've now got the charger wired up. I also mounted the inverter. The next step is to wire the inverter, and then I've also got to just terminate connect just a few more wires that are coming from the charger onto the battery. One thing I really want to do is keep the top of the battery very simple and safe. So the closer we can fuse the wire that is going to the battery, the safer the battery is. For example, if you're running this wire to the battery, you want to fuse it at the battery end and not at the accessory end. That way, if you ever get a dead short, it cuts the power off to the end of this lead. If it rubs through here and the fuse is up here, all of this will melt back to the battery. I've made this little bridging connector thing just out of steel that is going to bridge that directly to the battery. I'll put a piece of heat shrink over it, and then we'll also have a cap that goes over the positive there. So that is going to be as close as possible to the battery. Now I've also picked up this fuse holder here, and I've bent this tab flat like that. So it is actually going to stick out on a 45-degree angle like that, rather than up straight, because I didn't have enough height underneath my battery box. Right, so I'm now going to start wiring up all of the battery end up this side of the car. So I've got my mega fuse, which is a 100 amp mega fuse, which is going to go across this block here. Then our battery charge wire is going to go to one side of that. Then I'm going to run this 00 BNS cable just for now. And then I've got to make a new earth going down to the chassis so everything is earthed correctly. So I've got a little bit of wiring and crimping to do up here. Then we can go into the back. We're actually almost finished with the wiring, which is exciting. Right, that's the front all done. You can see I've got that 100 amp fuse in there and then a massive cable going to the battery. I drilled and tapped a bolt into there and then ran the earth strap down to there, so that earths this chassis nice. There is also other earths going to the chassis and the engine, so we should have plenty there. So you can see the positive side of the battery now. We've got one fuse over the back there and then the big 250 amp fuse for the inverter, just double-sided tape down there with that sort of extension piece, whatever you want to call that. So quite literally, all that's left to do is hook up the inverter. I've done the Anderson plugs on both the air compressor wire and the fridge connection there. That's pretty much it. Just hook up the inverter, hook up the earth leads to the other side of the battery, make sure that there's no fires. So you see over here on the back of the inverter, I've pinned up this earth cable coming through the wall there. And that cable then goes through up and it's P-clipped here as well, and then onto our fuse, and that is connected to the battery. The earth cable is P-clipped to the timber on the side, and it is very, very tidy, which is what I was chasing. So you can see we've got power now, and the inverter is also working as well. So you hear that start up and then she shuts off, and we've got power onto the inverter monitor. Now the bit that I'm most excited for is the light. So let's see if they work. We've got the 5 steady rock lights. Here we go. Ooh, they're working. I might turn the shed lights off, that way we can see it in the full effect. Oh, that's sick. That is perfect. I don't have the app yet to change the color, so she's going on all colors, but that is sick. So I've got the light on the door. One's on the inside working good, and we've got 2 on the ground, so you can see it is lighting up a fair bit of the ground, which is going to be perfect for camping. Finally, we're on to the fun stuff. That is the air compressor done. So now I'm going to do the fridge slide, and then we can put our new fridge on it. Here is iTech's brand new line of fridges. This is a 40 litre. They do have a bigger one than this. I think it's a 95 dual zone. I'm going to try out the 40 litre and see how that goes in terms of size, see if we need to upgrade from there. Now, some cool things about this fridge is you can open it up from either side. Up front, we've got our control dials. There's also a bottle opener, got our handle and also tie down But one thing that you don't see too often is this can actually house a standalone battery. So you can take this out of your car, take it down to the water, enjoy your cold drinks, enjoy your lunch. I actually think that that is such a good idea because you don't always want this in the back of your car. You can pull it out under your gazebo, sit it right beside your deck chair and enjoy your day. Now I'm obviously gonna have to get a bigger fridge slide. I'll pick one up tomorrow and this can go in the back of the car. But for now, I'll unscrew that fridge slide, get that out of there so we can sit this in. Right, that is the fridge sitting in there now, and it looks right at home with those colors, black and orange. I'll go out tomorrow, I'll pick up a fridge slide that actually fits it. I didn't even take that into consideration, the size of the fridge and the size of my slide. So guys, that is pretty much the back looking like how it's gonna look. In touring setup and a half. I'm absolutely stoked with that, and we are finally finished. It's taken a while to get to this point, but I'm more than happy with how this has turned out. Got this awesome Horizon Touring table. We're gonna put heaps of important stuff on this table. We've got the 2 drawers, which I still need to pack. All the stuff that's sitting over on the bench there is going in these drawers. Tools, camping stuff, it's all gonna permanently stay in those drawers. We've got the new iFROST fridge, 40 litre from iTech. Can't wait to get that thing fired up and get it on a fridge slide. And then obviously air compressor, inverter, big charger. We've got a huge 60 amp charger in this thing, 200 amp lithium battery. We are ready for touring. If you're interested in any of the products that you've seen, I'll have a link in the description below for the table and just their websites in general, and also to iTechworld. Now I've got a few more bits and pieces to tidy up. I'm gonna do that off camera. Then I'm gonna start planning some trips with this car. It's basically complete. This was the last piece of the puzzle for this car. So thanks for watching. Catch you guys on the next episode. Goodbye.